Okay, we'll start with this. Well, as is customary here on the channel at the turn of every year, we kick the next year off by looking at what talent is out there. Who should we watch out for in the year of 2022?
My search takes us to Turkey.
Istanbul, Turkey, to be exact, where a young up-and-coming welterweight seems to be developing.
You don't really see a lot of fighters, male or female, coming out of Turkey.
You really don't see a lot of fighters, male or female, coming from that region of the world, but this one got my attention.
A fighter that goes by the name Dilaraa Yücel.
Dilaraa Yücel of Istanbul, Turkey, that sports a professional record of 9 wins, no losses, no draws, with 8 knockouts.
In truth, I'd been watching this fighter since last year.
But I wasn't sure what to make of her because in spite of liking what I saw, the quality of competition was very poor. I'll say that Dilaraa Yücel's handlers are doing a very good job of keeping her busy and finding her opponents.
But 5 out of the 9 opponents she's fought were girls making their professional debut.
3 of them never won a fight. 3 of them had upside-down records and no recorded victories.
So I wasn't sure what to make of her, and I needed to see more.
Dilaraa Yücel debuted as a professional late in 2020, in October, and she's fought 8 or 9 times since then.
They're keeping her busy, but they're stepping her up slowly.
In terms of experienced fighters and quality, the quality of the competition. You must understand that 5 girls making their pro debut and 3 girls that never won a fight, those don't even qualify as journeywomen, experienced journeywomen that you can derive some experience from. As far as journeywomen goes, Dilara's only faced 1 bona fide journeywoman with a lot of fights under her belt.
It was 3 months ago against Nana Hrgovic.
And I really liked what I saw from Dilaraa Yücel in that fight. Nana Hrgovic, while a journeywoman with an upside-down record and many, many losses, was still a more experienced fighter with more professional experience, more pro fights than Dilaraa Yücel, and that's the kind of opponent.
That's the kind of fighter you want a young fighter fighting.
Somebody who's tough, somebody who's hardened, somebody who's not going to feel like a deer in the headlights once the punches start to fly.
Somebody who can fight back.
I gotta say, Dilaraa Yücel looked the part.
A few defensive lapses in judgment aside.
Showing that jab, straight shots from the outside coming in, effectively closing the gap, mixing in body shots with her combinations. Dilaraa Yücel's base style is best described as that of a boxer-puncher that likes to apply pressure, not to be confused with a pressure fighter.
Though she does like to apply it.
Her base style lives somewhere in between, and she favors the pocket. That's mid-range to inside, real mean streak.
Very spiteful.
Decent physical dimensions for today's welterweight division, though not necessarily on the bigger end of the spectrum. Not as far as welterweights or super welterweights / junior middleweights, but she's a good-sized welterweight.
Not too big and not too small.
Decent speed, decent power at this level, though when she steps up, really don't know, and I don't get the sense that they're going to move her too quickly. I get the sense that they are taking their time with her. Moving forward, in the year of 2022, she don't need to be fighting no more girls in her professional debut. Not 9 fights into her own pro career. If she is to gain any credible experience, she's got to lock horns with experienced fighters, not necessarily blue chip prospects, but experienced journeywomen.
Somebody she can actually learn something from, not somebody that needs to do more learning themselves.
Nevertheless, this is an interesting unbeaten prospect from out of Istanbul, Turkey. Keep your eyes peeled in the year 2022 for the young up-and-comer Dilaraa Yücel. In other news, Logan Paul posted this image by way of his Twitter account with a caption that reads, "Yeah, because the dirty little rat hasn't paid me yet, LOL. It's been 6 months. But no worries, Floyd Mayweather. KSI and I are going to make back the money you stole from me and more. January 4th.
The image stated that Floyd made so much money from the Logan Paul fight he could buy Jeff Bezos' jet.
So why would he have stiffed Logan Paul out of money due to him? I mean, what are we to believe? That Logan Paul didn't get paid for the exhibition match that he had with Floyd last year? Did he not get paid in full? Or
didn't they say the thing did like 1 million pay-per-view buys?
As haphazard as the entire card, the entire show was, commercially, it was supposed to have been successful. Floyd Mayweather was supposed to get a guaranteed $10 million up front for that pay-per-view with Logan Paul, and reportedly,
get this,
$30 million in endorsements, $30 million from the patches on his trunks. That's according to Floyd Mayweather Jr., of course.
Logan reportedly got far less money up front.
Where Floyd Mayweather Jr. was reported to be getting 50% of the pay-per-view profits Logan was only supposed to get 10, and I can only assume that the remaining 40 would go to the cable and satellite companies, operational costs, yada, yada, yada.
Only $250,000 up front.
Not 10 million like Floyd, not 10 million, not even a million.
Only $250,000 up front.
And here is Logan 6 months later saying he still hasn't gotten paid, and he's going to make substantially more than what he got, if he got anything, from the Floyd Mayweather Jr. exhibition match with his old buddy KSI.
Logan was asked if he's not allowed to talk about why he hasn't gotten paid yet.
To which Logan responded, "You think I know?"
So in a nutshell, he hasn't gotten paid and he doesn't know why.
He seems to be blaming and naming and shaming Floyd Mayweather Jr. for not getting paid, but shouldn't he be on the phone with Stefan Espinoza and the people over there at Showtime? I mean, don't they have something to do with all of this?
It was shown on their network, after all.
Or is it that only that $200,000 or $260,000, the only portion of Logan Paul's earnings that were going to come from Showtime is the money that he got up front, and the rest was supposed to come from the pay-per-view profits? Is that why he's turning to Floyd for whatever money he's owed? I really don't know.
It's all about the NFT world. BXMI NFT is crazy and it's very exclusive. Sonny, I would like to present you with this green WBC belt for your NFT. I need everybody to go to it right now. BXMI NFT. We back, we back, we back. I only deal with the best. Rotana Star. We doubled in size. We doubled in employees. We're in Dubai. When you come here, check them out, look them up. The best of the best. As you can see right here, Range, McLaren, Mercedes, Bentley, Cadillac, Rolls-Royce, Lamborghini, Ferrari, Bugatti. The list goes on and on. The money man, the money man, the money man. This right here ain't no sales pitch. Z-Mayfab Transportation, plus they provide security. Now I'm in Mexico using their security plus transportation. Now when I'm in the US, Vegas, LA, Miami, New York, I'm using their transportation, but their security is working with my security. Carlos, keep up the great work. Z-Mayfab.
He's doing a lot of these ads on his social media.
And I'm not sure if he is merely lending his likeness, his image, being a spokesperson for these companies, or if these are companies that he's actually in bed with, not limited to being a spokesperson. These aren't
TV spots he's doing.
That's from his Instagram account. I don't know if these are Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s companies or if these are merely companies he's lending his image to,
for a price,
being a spokesperson for them. I'm not completely sure. What I do know is that Logan Paul's still saying he hasn't gotten paid for their exhibition match 6 months ago. And, just on the other side of that argument, if it's been 6 months and Logan still hasn't gotten his money,
according to him,
why hasn't Logan contacted his lawyers? If Floyd Mayweather Jr. is the one that owes you the scratch, owes you the cash, and he doesn't seem to be giving it to you willingly, are you pursuing legal action?
Logan was expecting to make something like $10 million.
And in truth, none of us actually know what he got and what he didn't. Only Logan knows that. But 6 months later, he's saying he didn't get paid. So the question is, why? Why wouldn't he have gotten paid? If this exhibition match was as successful as was reported, then why wouldn't he have gotten his money by now? Why wouldn't he have gotten paid? What's not going on here? And what is?
There's rumors that Al Heyman did something to all of Floyd's money.
I don't know that there's any truth to those rumors. I just know that they're out there. Right now, there is speculation that Al Heyman has really been in control of most of Mayweather's finances for all this time, and the money's gone. There's a rumor out there that says as much. We're seeing more and more of Floyd Mayweather Jr. lending his likeness to these different companies around the world, different types of companies. Logan is saying that he didn't get paid for the exhibition match. Jake Paul is saying he needs to rescue Mayweather Promotions from bankruptcy.
Why would he need to do that?
Well, because Floyd hasn't paid his brother his money yet. I can't say that any of this communicates stability on the part of Floyd Mayweather Jr. being all entangled in a fiasco like this one and having a YouTuber of all things drag his name through the mud like this. Someone of Floyd's stature.
He's not that tall.
You know what I mean? Someone who's supposed to be as enterprising as Floyd.
I don't know, man.
Finally, fresh off his big win over former IBF champion Charles Martin, Luis Ortiz says, "I'm coming after every heavyweight in line for the title." In a back-and-forth battle that topped a 5-fight all-heavyweight pay-per-view, Ortiz recovered from 2 knockdowns to earn the TKO over former heavyweight title holder Charles Martin. The fight got off to a hot start in round 1, with Martin landing a bruising left hand to the side of Ortiz's head that sent him down late in the frame.
Charles Martin was actually doing pretty good.
He got off to a good start, seemed in control of the action for the most part.
He did.
Ortiz facing a southpaw like himself. I feel like that was bothering him, and the fight still managed to get away from Charles.
Ortiz looked old.
Tell me something I don't know. Not just old, it looked a lot like Ortiz's punch resistance is waning. He got dropped off a jab, for Christ's sakes. Ortiz stated, "I was very focused during this fight. I was never worried. My trainer just told me to keep working the jab, and that's what I was able to do. It was very difficult going southpaw against southpaw," said Ortiz. "At the end of the day, my intelligence won the fight."
That and a bit of negligence from Charles Martin.
Not mindful enough of Ortiz, his punching power, and not mindful enough of his own guard, the holes in it that can be exploited. Charles got
hit so fucking hard he forgot he was in the middle of a fight.
and it really was all downhill from there. Charles Martin, who in the IBF's last set of ranked standings was, for some reason, ranked as number 1, having not fought
Since February of 2020.
You heard that right. Before last night, Charles Martin was coming up on 2 years of inactivity. Ortiz continued, "I maintained faith the entire time. I knew I had my family and these fans behind me. I told everyone that this fight would be fireworks. He knocked me down, but then I finished him. I respect him a lot now, and I'm coming after every heavyweight in line for the title."
How could Charles Martin have been ranked at number 1 if he hadn't fought in close to 2 years?
Hadn't fought in close to 2 years and actually rejected an IBF eliminator.
Against Michael Hunter earlier this year in February.
What was supposed to be Charles Martin versus Michael Hunter subsequently became an order for Michael Hunter to face Philippe Hrgovic. And as we all know, Michael Hunter withdrew from that eliminator. The fight didn't happen. So how the hell does Charles Martin end up in front of Philippe Hrgovic?
Before last night, Charles hadn't fought since February of 2020.
Between February of 2020 and now, do you realize that Philippe Hrgovic has seen action 4 times? 4 times, that's right. That's basically saying that between last night's fight and Charles Martin's last fight before that, in February of 2020, Philippe Hrgovic fought 4 fucking
Whereas
times.
Charles Martin was out for close to 2 years. How the fuck did he get in front of Philippe?
I don't think it matters now. Charles Martin ranked in at number 1 by way of the IBF's ranked standings, whereas Luis Ortiz, he ranked in at number 10 in their last updated set of ranked standings. I can only assume that with Luis Ortiz having won the fight, he's going to leapfrog in those ranked standings. I don't know that he'll leapfrog ahead of Philippe Hrgovic.
But last night's fight was an IBF eliminator, just not a final eliminator.
Kale Sorlin tweeted, "Hrgovic versus Ortiz, final eliminator. IBF, who you got?" And Kale is assuming that if an order comes down from the IBF for Luis Ortiz to square off against Philippe Hrgovic in an IBF final eliminator, he's assuming that Luis Ortiz will comply, whereas the way I see it, Luis Ortiz would sooner end up fighting his PBC stablemate, Andy Ruiz. That is a fight that Luis Ortiz was pursuing not that long ago. And while Luis Ortiz might be talking about going through heavyweights and fighting for world titles, I have no expectation to see Luis Ortiz participate in an IBF final eliminator against Philippe Hrgovic that would undoubtedly be featured on DAZN.
Don't fight Andy Ruiz in his very next fight. He'll fight Otto Valina somebody.
I don't think he'll end up fighting Philippe Hrgovic in that IBF final eliminator, regardless of what he's saying now. I have no expectations to see that fight happen. If by some chance Luis Ortiz proves me wrong and decides to pursue that IBF final eliminator in the hopes that he can line himself up for a title shot, if that happens, I'm picking Philippe Hrgovic to mow down Luis Ortiz. That's right. I think Philippe stops him. At this point in Luis Ortiz's career, Luis Ortiz, who is speculated to be a lot older than he lets on, I think they've got him registered at 42 years old. I think he's a lot older than that. And based on what I saw, this guy's punch resistance is waning. It's all but gone. He got dropped off a jab from Charles Martin, all right? What would Philippe Hrgovic do to him? I'll tell you what I think. I'd sooner expect to see Hrgovic versus Parker than Hrgovic versus Ortiz, it being that Joseph Parker is ranked right behind Philippe Hrgovic in the IBF's ranked standings. They fight on the same platform. Joseph's coming off his second consecutive victory over Derek Chisora. This one wasn't controversial. This one was decisive, and I'd sooner expect to see Hrgovic versus Parker instead of Hrgovic versus Ortiz. I don't actually believe that Ortiz is going to continue down the IBF route, because in order to get to the end of it, he's got to get past Philippe Hrgovic, and I don't think he makes it that far.
I think he's gonna fight Andy Ruiz. If he don't fight Andy, he'll fight Otto.
If you want to know what I think, and you're here, so I'll assume that you do, based on what I saw, I really think that what Luis Ortiz needs to do is retire. He got dropped off a jab from Charles Martin. What would these bigger, younger, more ambitious heavyweights that have the pedigree that a Charles Martin doesn't have, what would they do to today's Luis Ortiz? I don't hate the guy. He's got a family to feed, for Christ's sakes. But he could really get hurt out there.
He might have won the fight, but he didn't look good until that knockout.
Leading up to it, he looked befuddled, old, and confused. Dropped 2 times by Charles Martin. I don't think that's encouraging at all for a guy who's registered to be in his early 40s, though many of us believe he's a lot older than that. No. A Philippe Hrgovic fight is not what the doctor ordered for the aging Luis King Kong Ortiz. And saving grace, the light at the end of the tunnel, is I don't actually think he's going to fight that guy.
He'll fight Andy Arado, and Philippe will fight Joseph.
The last time that Luis Ortiz was in action, before last night's fight, was in November of 2020. He saw no action at all of last year.
The both of them were coming off a stint of inactivity, him and Charles.
And for a guy Luis Ortiz's age to lose that much time, let me tell you something. Time is a luxury that he don't have, that he ain't got.
You gotta wonder why he didn't fight at all last year.
Maybe it's the PBC just ain't got enough fight dates to accommodate all of their boys. Maybe they just ain't got it in the budget to get all of those guys out there uniformly.
Either way, he ain't fighting Hrgovic.